fire. Voices rise with the engine fire. Every replay, every stand-up fight, felt it together on race night. Every night, let the legends lead. Every underdog, every winning streak. From hometown heroes to the final line, we hold on till the end of the fight. When the string goes down, the echoes remain. Another chapter written in speed and fame. If you live for the more than the racing truth, learn to own, grip that word. That's you. Sign of faith, let the passion stays. Another race in the broadcast haze till the lights go green and the mics ignite. Learn to own, grip that word. Grips the night.
Going from the ARCA cars to the O'Reilly machines for the first time since the season opener at Homestead, Miami, all the way back there on June 15th. So this is definitely going to be a different night than what the racers had 1 week ago.
No, absolutely, Ron. I mean, Bristol, it's the last great Coliseum, and I expect these drivers to get their elbows out tonight and be aggressive. This place, it sets the stage for just that. It's a half-mile length. You spoke about it, variable track banking. That means these drivers will have options here tonight to try to make passes. If you do it right, you can make speed on both the bottom and the top here. But these drivers, they're going to have to be very conscious of preserving that right front as well as the right rear tire. If you drive too hard early, you're going to pay for it for 20-plus laps into the run. So, Ron, I really think if you want to win here tonight in Tennessee, you've got to find a way to be patiently aggressive as you try to work your way around this track and by your competitors.
Yeah, to kick off the month of August, it is going to be a test of these drivers' mental strength to try and stay with it here through this race. I believe it was Sun Tzu that said that a warrior's greatest virtue is his patience. Here for these drivers on track tonight, nothing will ring truer. However, we are getting into crunch time here. After tonight's race, we'll only have 3 more races left to go in the regular season. So these championship points are going to mean a whole lot as we get into the later stages of this regular season. Last time, we'll get to see these O'Reilly cars until their 2 final appearances in the chase a little bit later on here this year. If we could take a quick little gander at those championship points, kind of show you how everything is looking right now. Zach Mitchell, who did score the win the last time we were in these cars at Homestead, granted it was on fuel mileage, but a win is still a win either way. He is your championship points leader. Maxime Theriault with a very, very good drive, coming back from disaster at New Hampshire, is there in P2, able to jump his way up the running order with that performance. Ethan Stratman, Trent Potter there in 3rd and 4th, James Skelton in P5, DJ Anderson in 6th. Of course, 6 spots gained there after last week's race. Really impressive stuff. But JR, something that we are certainly noticing as we go a little bit farther back, just how tight it is as you get from just about 7th with Sean Single all the way back to that cutoff line. Chris Worrell, our race winner last time at the first driver on the outside looking in.
Yeah, definitely very, very tight back there. I mean, yeah, up from 6th place all the way back to, 13th, 14th. These drivers are going to be in a dogfight in these next few races because if you want to get into the chase, you have got to put your best runs together. And you spoke about this schedule that's coming up. We go different cars every week. We're also going to some very unique tracks, so it's going to be tough. You're going to have to bring your best like you would during the championship portion of the season right here.
Yeah, at this point, I do want to correct myself. Over the past couple of weeks, I've been talking about the Daytona race for the Cup cars in 1 week's time here on the channel on August the 10th. I think I've been calling that an oval race. It will not be on the oval. Instead, it will be on the road course. So I have some lefts and rights to worry about there in the next appearance of the Cup cars. They're a 3rd of 4 total appearances throughout this season. But looking ahead, of course, Daytona on the road course, Phoenix, Irwindale will be our regular season finale in the ARCA cars. Then we have Texas Indy's O'Reilly machines, Rockingham in the Cup cars, Stafford in the trucks, Pocono in the O'Reilly cars once more, and rounding off the season with the ARCA cars at Charlotte. Pretty well-rounded schedule that we've got here this season, JR.
Yeah, and it absolutely displays the talents of the drivers that are able to be up toward the front each and every week, or at least be up toward the front in the points at this point, because you spoke about it, different cars, different tracks, road courses, short tracks, super speedways, we've had it all, and these drivers have to use every bit of their skill set to be at the top.
Yeah, that's certainly been the main thing that these drivers have had to lean back on over the past couple of races here this season. Really, the season as a whole, if you have a good foundation of talent and raw skill behind the wheel of these cars, you'll be able to excel as we go from one odd racetrack onto another and go from one car to another. These drivers are going to be put to the test here with another short track brawl, and to get the race up and rolling, let's take a look at tonight's starting grid. Lining up on the pole position is going to be Ethan Stratman there in the number 62 car, gets his second pole position this season. Last time was in the ARCA cars at Concord. Starting alongside him there on the front row will be Maxime Theriault, the reigning 7-time champion in the series, looking to make a good lunge at that championship points lead. Jeffrey Souza will line up in P3. Next to him will be Luke Logan Allen. Chris Hammett will be in 5th. Zach Mitchell will be in 6th, with Connor Blasco in P7. Mark Parkhurst there in 8th. Completing our top 10 here tonight will be Tim Combs and Josh Buckley.
Rolling off inside row 6, we got a winner from this season, Trent Potter. On the outside in that 51 car, DJ Anderson. 7th row, rolling off inside, David Odendahl. And on the outside, Sean Single. Rolling off in 15th place tonight, we got Bradley Steffen and Alex Sullivan in 16th. Row number 9, we have Bill Benedict in that 90 car. James Skelton, who I look to see moving up through the field in this one, having a bad qualifying run back in 18th place. Ryan Aldani, he'll roll off in 19th place, and 20th will be Todd Sargent.
And then looking from there, we have Jeff Lemire starting this race in 21st, next to Bruce Potter there on row number 11. Row 12, we'll see Ken Allen alongside Tony Strano, with Brian Torchia starting this race in 25th, next to Kyle Haddock there in 26th. Devin Visnall will be in 27th, Randy Sally in 28th, Logan Fielder will be in 29th, Aiden Coleman will be there in 40th place, rounding out your 30-car field here for the 7th race of this season. Still not at the halfway mark. We will be there at the halfway mark of next week's race at the Daytona Road Course. And of course, as you've been able to do all season long, you'll be able to see the rest of the action this season here on the Virtual Grip Network. Waiting for the green flag to fly here in this race is a calm before the storm, before things get nutty.
Absolutely. The one thing about these O'Reilly cars at this racetrack is it can be super slick on fresh tires. Before those tires have heat in them and the air pressures will come up, these cars are going to be moving around. These drivers are going to have to be very conscious of that, especially if you're one of those drivers starting on the outside. Very easy to push too hard on corner exit.
And so these drivers are going to be put to the test. 150 laps in store. It is going to be a race that could maybe wear on these drivers a little bit. It's some would maybe call it a fun night behind the wheel. Others may call it Chinese water torture. Let's see who fits into what category as the green flag flies. And the drivers are on their way, and we're racing here in the thunderous hills of Tennessee. Good start there for Theriault, trying to look for it on the race lead around the outside of Stratman. He'll clear as they head their way through 3 and 4.
Absolutely. You see Luke Logan, he's already trying to make his way up using that top line. He's a driver that's known for going where the other drivers are not, and that is an advantage here at Bristol.
Yeah, so Luke Logan Allen getting that as trouble farther behind. That's a 77 in worries as he headed his way through the turn. Thankfully does not bring out a yellow. We remain green for now, keeping our eyes on these battles. They continue to intensify. Zach Mitchell looking to make up some moves there. He's already jumped his way up in a 4th. Souza sinking down like a hot air balloon that just got shot at. He's now side by side with Parkhurst.
Yeah, definitely falling back, started up in 3rd, but the one thing I noticed is that he is committed to running the bottom line here. There is a lot of grip if you can get your left side tires right against that yellow line on corner entry. and it can also help you preserve your tires for the long run. Now, it's hard to think that you might get a long run here at Bristol, but it has happened, and if we get one, the drivers take care of their tires will have a big advantage.
And they won't have a long run right now as a yellow is out for the first time here tonight. We dodged one when Odendahl had a little bit of trouble there in the number 77, but this time you can see right now it's a number 36. We follow him heading his way through the turn and just going to loop it all by his lonesome. Everybody else behind going to try and scramble to avoid making contact. The 59 going to make a small little touch to the back end of that race car, may give him some damage, and brings the yellow out for the first time here tonight. I'm going to be honest here, JR, it's Bristol. You can never rule out those cautions. They lurk over these races like an eerie specter.
They absolutely do, and the one thing about this car is you don't even have to get in an accident that involves contact, just like this one that we saw here on the screen. If you overdrive the corner entry, this O'Reilly car will get loose around this track, especially after you've done it for 5 or 6 laps in a row. So something the drivers are going to have to think about, because at the end of the day, that wreck was very lucky that there wasn't more contact. Normally when you have a spin at Bristol, the drivers behind cannot check up. So I don't expect that to happen more than just once there.
Yeah, so the first yellow coming out of this race, it's 7 laps in. Maxime Theriault is your race leader. It's been an odd season, hasn't it, for our reigning champ? He's grabbed already 2 pole positions, those actually being back-to-back in Kansas with the Cup cars and Talladega in the trucks. However, many times he's been within a good shot of grabbing the victory, and things have just kind of fallen apart in his hands. Of course, did get the win at Dover with the Cup cars, but ever since then, it's been a little bit of a dry spell. However, he's been able to hold on to a good amount of points just through sheer consistency alone. Hey, that could be the reason why he's a 7-time champ after all.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the big one was like you talked about in the last race. It's not always about the best runs that you have, running up front, leading laps, winning those races. The championship a lot of times is decided by the driver that, you know, continues on in a race. When you're having a bad night, not turning it into something worse, getting everything you possibly can out of that race, that means points, and that's what leads to championships. So obviously 42 knows how to get that done, has done it a lot, and that's what all these other drivers that need to pay attention to, because they're going to have to start to mimic that.
Yeah, so still a long way left to go. I feel like you have to go through a race at Bristol almost like a chameleon. You have to change the way your skin looks just going through this race to try and adapt to the circumstances, as we're back to green flag racing. And a pretty rough getaway there for Trapp, and you can see the back end of that car shimming around like a belly dancer. He's been able to get up and rolling, but now feeling some pressure with Luke Logan Allen there in the number 31 car holding on to the inside, side by side still as they head their way through 3 and 4. Those restarts are going to be a real pain tonight, aren't they?
Absolutely, and it's so hard when you're on the front row and you're not the control car in order to get away, because you have that wheel spin. Whether you're on the inside or the outside, it's just very difficult. So Troutman did a nice job not to lose positions. You can already see these drivers, they're starting to slide around, they're starting to push up on corner exit. You're going to see some contact with the wall, and it could lead to drivers over throttling and getting loose, and that could create a big mess around here.
You know, much like another track that we have seen this season, Dover, there is very little room to run or hide when things go wrong here. And they will likely go wrong. You've got 150 laps, for crying out loud. The law of averages and the racing gods will not allow many of these racers to go through this event entirely smooth and free from trouble, as we have side-by-side racing here. That's the fight for second. It's Trappin and Parkhurst side-by-side and squabbling up. Was wondering how Parkhurst was going to do a little bit earlier on. He was stuck behind that 4 car of Sousa, who continues to fall down. He's now finds himself all the way there in 8th. Is big trouble heading our way out of turn number 3 and 4. Multiple cars involved. The 11 of Sean Single getting a piece of the incident. 88. It is a traffic jam as they head their way into 1 and 2.
Oh, absolutely, and that's what happens. Yeah, you see the leaders having to take action there, and that can actually be worse for the leaders not even making contact, but sometimes slowing down. iRacing gets confused on who the leader is and changes that. But you see from the replay here, Single down on the inside. Obviously, the 88, Kyle Haddock, trying to do a little bit of an over-under corner, which does work well here, but you have to anticipate that driver getting to your inside. That's what led to the initial contact.
It takes two to tango, and basically what we had going on there was one driver attempting a waltz and the other trying to break dance, and things just broke apart from there. As you can see, multiple other drivers sliding in. Big contact there. The 11 gang sent up into two wheels. Now, I will say, talking about Sean Single, we go back, have a little flashback to last week's race at New Hampshire. He got involved in a couple of incidents from the get-go, not really ones that were of his making, just, the victim of circumstances being at the wrong place at the wrong time. He was still able to get a good result when it was all said and done. Now, whether the racing gods will smile upon him today remains to be determined. One thing I will say, knowing the racing gods, they usually don't care about too much statistics. All they care about is just a matter of what makes for the best joke.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of drivers that kind of got caught up in that. A little bit surprising. James Skelton, when we talked about him in the opening, having that bad qualifying run, he usually has a lot of speed, especially on these types of tracks, and he had to start back in the back. That is a risk that happens when you get back there. So, yeah, very lucky that he didn't get a lot of damage, but he's got to go back and do it again.
Yeah, so gonna have to climb his way back up the ladder once more here tonight. Again, we still have the benefit of time. I gotta say one thing, and this is honest, I feel like time moves a little bit differently whenever you're racing at Bristol, because from a driver's perspective, they're gonna look at 150 laps and think, oh, this is gonna take the rest of our lives. But it's 150 laps when you're, yinging around this racetrack incredibly quickly. So they will blink, and next thing you know, we're going to be past the halfway mark. So it seems like there is a lot of time, and certainly whenever you do find yourself on the back foot, that small little mental win, no matter how hollow it may be, will certainly work out in a driver's favor. You got to pick the little wins whenever you find yourself running here at Bristol. You can't sweat the small things. Just every single note that I was ever passed to by a guidance counselor in middle school, I think works out well for drivers attempting to race here at Bristol, as the green flag is back out once more. 20 laps already down, so 130 left to go. Terrio is your leader still. Parkhurst and Trapman still side by side.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we've had cautions early. This is the time to kind of attack. We talked about saving those tires. If we continue to get cautions, you're not going to have the time for the tires to really matter. So these drivers, they're kind of seeing that, and they're racing hard right here, trying to get everything they can in these opening laps.
As you can see, Trapman was a little bit darty as he headed his way into turn number 3 and 4, able to clear 4P2, so Parker starting to sink down a little bit, now falling off into the clutches of Luke Logan Allen, perhaps. You can see that number 31 car trying to make something work there, but the 62 seems just a tad uncomfortable from time to time. It may not be general discomfort, but if it's a small little pang of anxiety every 5 laps, that'll wear on you quickly here.
Yeah, absolutely it will. This car, I can tell you, after you get some laps in it, after those tire temps come up, you get about 25 laps on the car, this thing will start to skate around. It really feels like you're on top of the track, almost sliding around on ice at times. So it is a feel that is kind of an acquired deal. Some drivers are really good at it, some are not. But you're going to have that tonight in this O'Reilly car. If you want to be fast, you've got to be willing to slide around and just get comfortable.
Yeah, I usually say this when it comes to super speedway racing, but it works out well here at Bristol. To do well here, you've got to find the most amount of comfort in very uncomfortable situations. If you can get a full 8 hours of rest on a bed of nails, you are perfect for trying to fight for a victory here at Bristol, as we keep an eye on these fights and these squabbles all throughout the pack. That's Ken Allen there, and the number 49 car looking to fight here. You can see side by side, heading their way out of turn number 3 and 4 once again, down into turn number 1 and 2. The side-by-side racing here at Bristol is not only pervasive throughout the rest of the pack, it feels almost endless as well. Takes a long while in terms of lap counts to finally get a move done. You've got to hack at it for about 3 to sometimes even higher than 5 or maybe even 10 laps of side-by-side racing before you can finally clear.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And that's one of the things that leads to drivers, really overdriving the car and the racetrack and getting themselves in a bad situation sometimes. So you got to be patient. Even though you want to pass that driver, do not get into a huge hurry. Just let the car settle into the track. Make sure that you have a good rhythm going. Do not overdrive it. And eventually you can make that pass. We see some contact with the wall up ahead. Drivers starting to push a little harder as they continue to be side by side.
Ooh, I was a little bit worried about that, I'll be honest, as they headed their way out of the turn onto the straights. The problem is, it is a pinching area. Whenever you go through there, you're going to see these cars try and fight for the same piece of real estate space out there on the racetrack, and rarely, if ever, is anybody going to get exactly what they want without somebody getting shown the cold shoulder. And we saw a little bit of that just then. Every single time, really, there's a race at Bristol, there's some sort of drama that takes place heading out of the turns, whether it be with lap cars or just a fight for whatever position it may be. It is a bad deal when you head your way out of these turns, so keep an eye on that as we go throughout the rest of this race. Kept our eyes on the fighting up towards the front, although Maxime Theriault is pulling away. But we have got fights all throughout this pack. I think these drivers are finally settling down as this race has settled down as well. I think we're now pushing the longest green flag run that we have had all night so far.
Yeah, the driver's doing a nice job. You see from the leader there just what kind of lead he has. That's huge at Bristol. But the drivers have kind of settled down. They're mostly single file. You do see some looking up there from Parkhurst, or looking out the back toward Parkhurst trying to make a move. But you see, as soon as he made a move, that's when Luke Logan started trying to make a move on him. So you've got to be thinking about that before you go to make a move on a driver. Am I going to be at risk at losing a position myself? So a lot of these drivers are still filling that out. They're still trying to figure out when to make these moves. And right now is the time to do it. It's early in the race. You can recover from here.
Yeah, as much as we are making progress, already 36 laps into this race, there's still a long way left to go. So don't get worried about trying to make an impression and leaving a mark right now, because the only marks that you will probably leave are marks on your own race car that'll just be detriments a little bit later on here as we keep an eye on the fight. Luke Logan Allen, kind of at the epicenter of this fight, was going side by side with himself and Hammett. That's not really worked out in his favor. Hammett now trying to apply some pressure to Parker, so he's going to jump his way up there into P3. Nice move, quick move there as well for the 6. He may be on the charge. So too is the 8 of Zach Mitchell. Talked about the speed that he has shown throughout this season. There's a reason why he's the championship points leader. He's been strong, he's been consistent, he's been able to get some speed. One of the only multi-time race winners so far this season as well. That 8 car on the charge as a 31 of Luke Logan Allen, I think, is set to feel some more pressure here soon, as trouble there for the 8 heading into the turn, somehow saves it, not without some slightly used trousers.
That was a massive save that Mitchell did, and that's absolutely textbook on how not to overcorrect the car. He understood the situation, he understood the banking that he was going to be having to deal with, and did not overcorrect his him already turning back to the left before the car slid up the track. So that was great. Didn't even lose a position there, but his rear tires are super hot. He's going to have to watch that throttle control for the next few laps.
Yeah, those tires, even in the coolness of the night, are going to be on fire. So this will be a very interesting next few laps as he tries to contend with this racetrack with rear tires that probably want his head on a spike. So we'll see how things go over the next couple of laps. We shall see for sure. It's lap 43 right now. It's a number 42 car there in P1. Theriault holding on to a 1.3 second margin over Hammett. I was talking about the charge that the 6 was able to put on, getting some moves done very quickly. He's pretty much the only thing working as a bridge of your top 3, because Ethan Trackman is 2.2 seconds back of Theriault, and Hammett is pretty much directly in the middle of that. We can call him the mediator, we can call him whatever you want, but Hammett has got some speed. I think he saved up those tires, is really putting in some good runs as it stands right now. Eking away at that gap slowly but surely, getting some time as trouble right in front of Theriault. Lap cars getting into each other. That's going to slow him up even more.
Yeah, and we had a good run going. You know, the drivers kind of single filing out, but this is what you start to see as the leaders approach the back of the field. the back of the field starts to realize what's going on. They do not want to go a lap down, and they start to race harder. And now, after the leader's gone by, you start to race for that lucky dog position. So just because the leader's gone by doesn't mean that that race doesn't continue on for the other drivers trying to pass them.
And this is getting really crazy. This is a danger zone now that we've got lap traffic thrown into the midst. You thought it was busy out there on the racetrack when the drivers were just battling for their own spots. Now you can crank that up by about 50. This is where it gets really sketchy. Trouble there. That could nearly end in tears as they headed their way in through turns number 3 and 4. Keeping it smooth there. Not keeping it smooth farther up the road. That's the 8 of Mitchell involved in that. Got away with one earlier on. Not going to get away with this.
Definitely not. Got a huge dent in that back bumper, so it'll be interesting to see if it was just a checkup and someone getting to the back. We'll get a replay here. This is the one that I was seeing with Souza and then Stefan right there on the front stretch, but that's because they were checking up for what was going on ahead. So Mitchell actually got that contact after the spin happened. I believe it was old Donnie that got in the back of, excuse me.
As you can see, one car that was involved in that and thankfully got away with it scot-free is the number 18 of Trent Potter. If the green flag run continued, we're probably going to have to talk about him because he had come into the pits on lap 16 and was just surging his way through the pack. It was an insane run that he was putting on with those new tires, but clearly not going to go in his favor as it was trouble all around him, essentially, right up in front, right behind him. Here's the 8 and his perspective through this. Heading our way through the turn. That's turn number 3 and 4, no harm. But it's on the exit there at the 88. Again, talking about the nature of the exits of the turns here at this track. It feels like there's no room to run or hide through the turns, but on the exit, everybody is fighting for a small little window. It's like 50 people trying to stick their hand into one single hole.
Absolutely, and it's so hard to get grip when you have a long run like we just had. Trying to get that throttle and that power applied, especially when you're in the inside car, the car kind of skates, like I talked about, moves up the track, and you're just hoping that you're clear. Sometimes it is very difficult to tell exactly where that outside car is, and then it leads to contact. And a lot of it's just misjudgment on where the right side of your car is. It's not always because you're trying to squeeze that driver.
Yeah, so as a result of this yellow flag, many of the racers have come down pit lane. When I say many, I mean basically everybody has come down pit lane, including Maxime Theriault, who will be your race leader once we get this green flag up and rolling. They came into the pits right at the first third of this race being completed right there on lap 50. So with that taken into consideration, it kind of resets the strategy. Pretty much everybody running on the same pit call. The only driver currently running inside of the top 15 that didn't come into the pits, well, there's actually 3 of them, and they came into the pits on lap 51. Everybody pretty much uniform and together in their pit lane calls. So it's going to be left in these drivers' hands to see what they can do. I'm interested to see what the 6 is going to do on this restart. We're seeing the charge that Chris Hammett was able to put together there, and I think he may be able to keep that rolling once we get this restart. Speaking of, pace car down pit lane, green flag is back out, drivers back on their way. Theriault once again gassing and going. He is pulling away as Hammett gonna slip into P2. Trappin and Parkhurst once again side by side, but unlike last time when they were battling for second, they're now battling for third.
Absolutely, and Theriault just getting a huge launch on these restarts. That's exactly what he needs so he can get away. He doesn't have to worry about contact. These drivers back here, they're still fighting it out. We talked about this is a good time to try to make up some positions, and if you're on that outside lane, that's where you want to be on a restart.
There's trouble once again, 4th caution of this race. And oh dearie me, it wasn't nearly as big of the disaster, for lack of a better term, that broke out last time. However, there may be a familiar face in it there, not actually involved in it to start. It was a 27 spinning, heading through the turn, and nothing that the 8 of Zach Mitchell could have done there. We haven't really talked about this in reference to Mitchell and the trouble that he's found himself in right now. He's now down in 20th. Big championship implications considering his main championship points rival of Maxime Theriault is currently holding on to the race lead. That 8 car is probably hoping for some kind of falling anvil to strike the 42.
Absolutely hoping something happens, but I can tell you it is moments like that right there when we saw Mitchell get by unscathed that can make the difference. He can turn his night around here, but he's got to come through this field, and that is a tall order because there is action everywhere. It doesn't even have to be with a lead lap car. We've seen how the lap down cars can come into play in traffic. So gonna have to be smart about it. Maybe work some strategy, because I do not believe that was the last pit stop we saw. These cars, they can go about 90 laps on fuel. We pitted just before that window. These cautions are probably going to help us get there to the end, but I think tires are going to be more important, and I think it's going to be more important on when you take those tires. I still think there's going to be a couple of opportunities for that, and these drivers still have 3 sets in the pit, so plenty of time to try to do something different.
Yeah, plenty of opportunities to try and make an odd pit lane call. As the old racing adage goes, you're not going to win by doing exactly what the race leader is doing. So may as well go for something a little bit different. And considering that we are getting close to the end of the regular season, some drivers on the outside looking in, they're probably getting a bit desperate to try and just make something work here in these final few races. We've got some odd combinations coming up. Well, not odd combinations, but different ones for sure. We're going to be running each of the 4 different cars here in this league over the next 4 weeks between this one and the 3 to follow. O'Reilly cars here tonight, Cup cars next time at the Daytona Road Course, Phoenix for the trucks, and then Irwindale for the ARCA machines. So completely different races week in and week out. The one thing that will certainly remain is some of the top drivers in this series holding on to some good spots. But if you're looking for a good way to overhaul some points, may as well go for glory. It's not like the old playoff format where you can punch your way in just with a single trip to victory lane. There's a bit more nuance to it. You've got some points. Thank golly gosh darn for that. As we get back to green flag racing here once more, Terrio, another good restart. The 6 of Hammett feeling a little bit more pressure than he did last time. If you remember, he was clear for P2. Now it's looking like Trapman may be able to get it done. Hammett, though, gonna punch out. Fantastic run, hang down the backstretch out of turn number 1 and 2. Gonna clear there for P2 as the fighting is still going on for some of the spots in the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. Those outside drivers, they want to capitalize on this because you can get a big run. You can carry the momentum off the corner and make that pass with the driver that's on your inside. We're seeing the 20 do that around Allen right there. Look, that swirl kind of bouncing off the wall a little bit, but you can get it done, but it is a little treacherous while these tire pressures have not been built up on the cars yet. The car will wiggle around the center of the corner, and when you over throttle, that rear end will snap on you, so you've got to have good control.
Yeah, as much as we haven't had a lot of green flag running once these drivers put the tires on, they're not feeling factory fresh. They've just been bruised ever so slightly, and they have been heat cycled. So a little bit less grip that these drivers are having to work with every single restart. That's making it even more sketchy. So not only do you find yourself in a massive hornet's nest of cars, not only are you going side by side, turn after turn, lap after lap, you're dealing with tires that may not be worn down completely to the canvas, but I think they'd probably be marked on eBay as lightly used.
And it's hard to describe to those that haven't done this what those heat cycled tires feel like. They are not great. It's not like you talked about, like they just have a lack of grip. It's almost like they are a rock on top of this concrete surface, like it just wants to slide around, and you have to drive your corner entry and your corner exit differently, and you got to be aware of that right before the green flag takes off.
And to those maybe tuning into this broadcast unfamiliar with the concept of heat cycling, basically how it works is these solvents inside the tires, the chemicals that are used to make them as sticky as they are, whenever you bring them up to temperature, those solvents go away. They start to get off-gassed a little bit, and then once you cool them back off and then heat them up again, it just repeats this process over and over and over again until the tires that started off really tacky and really soft, as you just said, JR, essentially become rocks. I remember back in my karting days, we didn't worry as much about tire wear, the tires being worn down completely to the bottom of the wear holes. It was a matter of the tires heat cycling out. They would just be so hard after a while that they would have virtually no grip. These drivers haven't heat cycled them too much, but those yellow flag periods do leave a mark on the cars outside of the ones involved in the accident that brought out the yellow.
Yeah, it absolutely does. The other thing, we're getting far enough along in this race. We have to, we see a challenge for the lead up here. Hammett's getting on the outside of Maxime going through turns 1 and 2. He's going to have the advantage right here. That's not something that we've seen anybody do to this point in the race.
I will say, for what it is worth, last time we were racing here in this series, it was in the ARCA cars at New Hampshire, and we had Chris Worrell capture the victory. He did not take the start here tonight, I believe. However, he started from pit lane, we're hearing from production. Thank you very much, Ryan. I saw that he was down there at the back of the pack. Not sure if he did take the green or not. However, if anything is to be believed, it's going to be a different Chris maybe capturing a victory if this pace is anything to go by. Just getting to the halfway mark of this race. There's still a lot of time left to try and fight. However, one thing is certain. Terrio is sinking down. I think he may have just overclocked those tires a little bit, or perhaps maybe taking it easy. Maybe he does have a little bit left in his back pocket to try and work with, and he's not revealing his full hand.
Yeah, and that's a good possibility. I talked about it. If you can conserve your tires and you can continue to run that bottom line, that's what we're seeing the 42 do. There's a lot of grip, and that's another thing that's hard to explain. There's a lot of grip right against that inside yellow line. If you get your tires right on it on corner entry, it will literally rotate the car. You don't have to turn the wheel as much, and it will save your right front, and it will save your right rear because it helps you get the car rotated so you can exit in a straighter fashion. The 42's doing that. I'm just not sure how many green flag laps we're going to have for it to matter. Right now you see Hammett and Anderson, they're running on the higher line. You can run that line to take care of your tires, but it is difficult to do, and right now they are moving at a much faster pace than the 42. So be interesting to see. If this goes green, we could have a great battle at the end.
Yeah, so this could be quite fascinating if Maxime Terrio gets that benefit of some green flag running, but that is definitely a gamble when racing here at Bristol. It's almost like selling your modest family home, buying nothing but scratch-off lottery tickets to try and become a millionaire so you can get a mansion on the other side. It's a gamble for sure. Not really sure if it will work. Terrio, it's definitely not as high stakes as the point that I just raised. However, Terrio may be in trouble if things go a little bit awry later on here. And we are in that danger zone. We're back up into lap traffic. And last time, JR, we saw a long green flag run end as a result of some drivers just getting caught out through that lap traffic period. We're in the danger zone once again. I always feel very, very tense and nervous just here in the broadcast booth looking at these drivers trying to cut their way through the field.
Yeah, and we're also at the point in the race where we got a lot of marbles. Oh, and there's already a wreck. That's Ken Allen going around and going to get hammered, I believe, by Haddock there. So yeah, Ken Allen possibly going to be able to get away with one and not going to now. But something we talked about, we have to see what caused that. There is a lot of marbles on the top side of that track. You can jump the cushion like you would on a dirt track, and the grip just goes completely away. As we're riding on board, oh, something happened again. Yeah, hardware issue, something odd there. So yeah, his night was probably already over with, but taking a hard ride into the outside wall there.
Yeah, let's just count this. So first off, you see, oh my goodness, what in the world happened there? I think his monitor may have blinked out there. It looked like he just turned into the car. Gets hit 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there was a fifth time there as well. Got hit 5 times before he got the opportunity to tow back to pit lane. It's like Rodney Dangerfield got no respect out there. As here we go, pit stops once again, and that's a 51 with a mighty jump. I think he may have taken 2 tires there.
Yeah, and this is the strategy. This is the opportunities. We didn't have a ton of green flag laps. We certainly got some wear done on that left side, so the car's going to handle different for any drivers that took 2 tires, but it is a strategy move. Sometimes all you need is that track position, to give you the opportunity to move forward. And the thing is, we continue to get a lot of cautions. It's not going to matter if you have 2 tires or not. You're probably going to be able to maintain enough pace to keep that track position you gain.
Yeah, so definitely a bit of a gamble there for the 51, banking on a very heavy caution race. We are past the halfway mark. We've had 19 laps run under yellow through to this point, and that will only continue to grow as we go through this current 5th caution flag procedure here. I would like that call if I were DJ Anderson if I had some cars between me and the cars that actually took 4 tires. he is out there basically all by his lonesome of the runners that took 2. Now, I will say, and this is awesome, this is something that he's iRacing, I hope they can fix it at some point. The leaders on oval races on iRacing get almost a cartoonish advantage whenever the green flag comes back out once more. They get fantastic jumps because for anybody on the high side, they're in P2 trying to anticipate the restarts. The consequences are going to be so dire that they just wait for that leader to go. So by the time they head their way into turn number 1, doesn't really matter what track it is, they're going to have a massive gap up at the front of the pack. So I think Anderson does have that working in his favor, and the green flag run that we had up to that point wasn't exactly the longest in the world. It wasn't short by any means, so these tires will be worn down. If he can nail down this restart and have some more yellows, this could come up in DJ Anderson's favor. Green flag is back at trouble there for the 6. Barely got rolling there off the line. I think he had a little bit of wheel spin, which is saying something for a driver on new tires. Nearly got stacked up with Trapman directly behind. Now feeling some pressure. The 95 of Connor Blasco is currently splitting the 2 of those drivers.
Yeah, definitely good job by those drivers behind the 6 there, because that could have gone really wrong. It could have collected a lot, but we see, that was the 18, I believe, getting into the long corner entry, and we see Mitchell getting collected. The caution is still not out right now, but we've definitely got a couple of drivers around, and they've got to get themselves going before these leaders approach.
Oh, this could be very, very sketchy with the driver trying to rejoin. Yellow finally comes out. Now, one thing I will say about this series, anyone wondering why that wasn't a yellow, this series does use iRacing automatically deployed caution. So, whenever a driver is spun and stopped below the apron, iRacing doesn't judge that as being caution worthy, and so they keep it green. As you can see, the 18, very big sideways snap heading into the turn. Really nothing that anybody else behind could have done to, avoid that incident. Just being at the wrong place at the wrong time once more. We have seen that so many times so far tonight.
Yeah, and it's a really helpless feeling here at Bristol. You can see the wreck a lot of times here and just not be able to avoid it. It's very difficult to get your car slowed down, and in that situation, you're already committed to the corner. There's no turning left or right to try to avoid that. Either one of those is going to get you in worse situations. So, just the 18 having a lot of trouble there. Mitchell nowhere to go, and that's what spun both of them around. For the most part, everybody else got through unscathed.
Yeah, so it may have been a big incident, but it was an isolated incident at that, so nobody else getting caught up in the crossfire, which is definitely a benefit. It's good news to DJ Anderson, who's going to lead now with 60 laps left to go. Now, if this trend continues of green, yellow, green, yellow, green, yellow, Anderson is going to be in real good shape. However, this restart could be a little bit more sketchy because Maxime Theriault has been really the quickest car all throughout the night. He's going to be back on the high side when they grab that green. I think the 6 there of Hammett, the restart that he had, you could think of 2 things. Either the rear tires on that car were doused in Vaseline or his fuel tank was full of sand. That car just did not get going on that last restart.
It did not. Some of that could be just trying to anticipate what the leader's doing or not anticipating enough. You see the leader take off, and instead of you being somewhat gentle with applying that throttle, you go wide open, and that creates wheel spin. So it's something as a driver that it's very difficult to get yourself in the habit of doing. Once you do it, it's almost like riding a bicycle. You don't forget it very often, but you can be caught off guard to what that leader does, because that's one thing in the series like this. The leader has the advantage on the restarts. The leader is the control car. Nobody can pass that leader until after the start-finish line, and the leader has a restart box. So anywhere in that box, they can go, and it's a good restart. So all these other drivers, they're left trying to anticipate that, and it just takes a slight moment, a slight blink, and you miss what you're doing. You create an issue for yourself.
And back to green flag racing here, 92 laps on the board of 150 here in Bristol. That's a good restart there for Anderson. Batterio now in the coattails. You got side-by-side fight going on right behind. That's Hammond and Blasco side-by-side in their fight for third. Gotta wonder who's going to be able to get settled here very, very soon. This green-yellow cycle that we've been locked in since that two-tire call for Anderson. It's helping him hold on to the race lead. It's helping his tire situation. That's making everybody else's tires just a little bit worse. They're leaning on him heavily. Once we get that green flag, they're dealing with the heat cycling as well. That's part of the reason why Anderson holding on to it, and that gap to himself and Terrio kind of stagnating at about 3/10.
It is, and what you're watching on screen right now, too, with these cars that are back, double foul here. So we see Buckley and Allen going side by side. We saw earlier in the race, Allen would be able to just fly by. It would literally take just one or two sets of corners, and he'd be able to easily make that pass. That outside line is starting to lose some grip, and a lot of that's got to do with the drivers that have been running up there. They've kind of rubbered that section in so much that there is not as much grip, and it's mostly lack of grip on corner entry. You're just not able to keep that car rotated or turned down, so the inside line starting to gain a little bit of an advantage. It'll continue to get that as we get through the last third of this race.
Yeah, if we get some longer green flag runs going into this track, fully gets rubbered in and settled down, that bottom lane is going to be almost unbeatable. As you can see, the 62 of Ethan Trapman making it work there in the side-by-side fight with himself there. It's working out all right as swapperoos going on throughout the rest of the pack. Blasco and Allen side-by-side there in the fight for 4th and 5th. As side-by-side going on a little bit farther behind right there. That's the number 89. Got involved in the fight there as well. It is non-stop battling throughout the pack. These drivers battling with each other. They're battling with their own nerve as well. Now into the final third of this race. Anderson is your leader, and that gap continues to grow. Nearly about 4.5 tenths between himself and Terrio. Shocking, considering that two-tire call. I was expecting him to drop down like an anvil pushed out of a helicopter.
Yeah, and that's the unique thing. We don't really know for sure how these cars are handling tonight, the way the track is rubbered in, but if the car was starting to get tight through those last sets of runs, you can literally say, I'm only going to take the right side tires to try to free the car up. You can't make any adjustments on these cars, but doing that, staggering your tires, can change the handling, and maybe that's exactly what Anderson needed, along with that clean air. It's a short track, but the clean air still means a little bit.
Yeah, it does make a difference. The speeds are high, so you got to worry about the hole in the air right up in front of you. Whether or not that air is disrupted or whether it's perfectly smooth, that's up to the racing gods to try and decide. Hammond, though, once again on the charge, able to get a move done on Maxime Terrio, who, despite being your dominant race leader a little bit earlier on, I think his car at this moment in the race is just okay. Hammond, though, really on the charge. He is hammering the back of Anderson as they head their way off through turn number 3 and 4 right now. We ride on board with this driver of the number 6 machine, has that 51 car skating around a little bit, trying to cover it off, drive the widest NASCAR O'Reilly's car ever conceived by physics. That Supra may be able to hold on to that spot for now, but Hammond has been on the charge all throughout this race. He's been confident in putting the nose of that number 6 machine wherever he wants to, wherever he thinks he has to try and get a move done, and I'm expecting to see a swapperoo here very, very soon. Terrio and Blasco, they're going side by side there in the fight for the final podium spot. Terrio looking to desperately cling on to that spot, but I'm not sure if it will be enough. He's still stuck on the outside, has some benefit with Luke Logan. Allen, kind of giving a little bit of assistance there behind. He'll finally clear, so that'll slightly reset it. A bit of a timeout there in the fight with Terrio, as it is still close there for the top spot. Anderson, fantastic defense so far.
Yeah, absolutely. The first two have really pulled away from this group. Now, as they get to racing, because I do expect that Hammond's eventually going to get side by side with Anderson, I think it's going to pull these next 4 or 5 drivers right up to their rear bumper, and then it's going to really get exciting, because then it's about who does not lose momentum. We see Hammond trying to get to the outside here through 1 and 2.
Yeah, trying to sweep around the outside, make something work there, and it's still going to be a little bit of overlap as they head their way through the bend. This could get dicey. This could work out well. It does. Hammett, now your race leader right now on lap 111, the number 6 car, back up to the front of this field. Anderson now going to be in the dirty air, and I expect that he will sink down quickly. Going to fall quicker than an elephant skydiving. That 2-tire call was just enough to keep him in that top spot, but now that he's stuck in the dirty air, it's going to be a much harder road ahead for that 51. The one benefit is that the drivers behind cannot get out of each other's hair.
No, they're continuing to race hard back here, and I mean, they should be. We're less than 40 laps to go in this race. This is when it really matters. You've got to position yourself well because it does become more difficult to pass later in the run. Even if you've got fresh tires, the cars are moving around more than they ever have. So you've got to be, be able to recognize that. You've got to be able to not overstep the bounds, and that's usually where a lot of drivers get in trouble here. They'll have fresher tires than the driver ahead of them. They're chasing them down really quick, but as soon as they get there, they try to be aggressive with that wheel or throttle to make that pass. And then they learn, I really don't have much grip at all, and it creates a big accident, and it just ruins your entire night. You're very rarely going to get away with an accident here to where you're able to continue. We've seen a couple of drivers get by with it, but it rarely happens.
And so now that we're getting into the final stages, we have one more reset, and it's a caution, the 7th of the night. Disaster breaks out once more. It will be music to the ears for some. That's going to be disaster for others. You can see that car stopped up there against the wall. It's the 2 machine. We follow side by side. Going to end in tears. It's once again the pinching heading out of the turns going to catch these drivers at dearly. That time, it's a number 2 machine. Brian Torchia behind the wheel of that Prestige Worldwide Racing Chevrolet. That's going to catch him out. I believe the other car involved was the 72 of Aiden Coleman. Because of this yellow, we have got a flurry of drivers coming down pit lane, excuse me. As I'm looking to see if anybody's doing something a little bit different. Yes, we do have some drivers staying out, running an odd call. Worrell actually going to cycle out, from what I'm seeing, into the race lead. Yeah, he's on the other pit lane there, sorry.
Oh, yeah, so going down the back. So, yeah, this is going to be interesting because we do see drivers kind of mixing it up a little bit on pit road. I didn't really see anybody take the 2-tire strategy, which I think I would try it. I think Anderson proved that 2 tires works for a little while. So, it would have been difficult for him to do it, but I think if I was one of these other drivers, I would have done that. Buckley might have because he did jump up quite a few.
And so right now, Josh Buckley only about 9.4 seconds stop there in pit lane. Ethan Tratman, 10.2. So 2 interesting calls there for drivers that have been in some very different positions so far in this race. Ethan Tratman throughout has consistently been up towards the north end of the field. Buckley, we haven't really talked about him so far here in this race. Could be a sign for things to come. Could maybe turn things around. We're getting into crunch time. Going to be about less than 30 laps left to go when we get this restart. So, yeah, it doesn't really matter exactly what situations you found yourself in throughout most of this race. It's all about where you are towards the end.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Obviously, Troutman's been fast through qualifying, practice, qualified up front. So he's doing a strategy to try to get himself back up. Now, he's obviously going to get a better launch here, I would anticipate, than Sargent. Sargent's got about 30, 35 laps more on his tires, and they're going to be really hard and difficult to lay down that power. So I would expect Troutman to get going. Now, the bad news is Troutman's got Hammett right behind him. So I think the inside line's going to be a little bit slower on this restart based on the cars and the strategies they're on. So Troutman's going to have his rear end full of Hammett here.
Yeah, as much as the YouTube chat is maybe favoring that number 62 car of Ethan Tratman, I've got my eyes on the 2-time series champion of Chris Hammett. He's been strong throughout this season, looking for a little bit more as we get towards the end of this race. Green flag's out. Sargent is your race leader. It may look a little bit dusty up off the shelf. It's an old DW throwback, so hey, DW is pretty happy. Underground trouble there. Tratman and Hammett both gonna get collected in that. Our 2 favorites, as we were talking about a mere moments ago, going to wipe themselves out of it entirely.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how much damage Hammett has. He was able to continue, but definitely Troutman's night is over, and I think a little bit it's just, hey, it's time to go, and then a little bit was Hammett trying to get to the outside of Troutman, but Troutman continuing to take the higher line there, and that led to the contact, and that's what you're going to get. You get these mixed strategies. You get drivers that know they have the speed, they're ready to go, and then contact happens. You see another angle right there. I really think that Hammett was trying to get to his outside and just misjudged that a little bit. But either way, he's got damage, so he continues, but it's going to be a little bit slower.
You know, impatience may be a pretty flower, but impatience out there on the racetrack is going to cost you dearly, and that is not going to smell like a bed of roses for those two. It is such a shame to see two of the strongest contenders throughout most of this race get caught up in drama there late. I got to say, they're not completely out of it. Chris Hammett and all of that is currently classed in 7th, so who knows, maybe things will work out for that number 6 machine after all, but the damage on the back end of that car may be a detriment as we get towards the end. You can see actually really the entirety of that passenger side, right front torn up, right rear torn up there. You can see the quarter panel dented in a little bit, right front fender is in trouble as well. That rear bumper is also giving a small little smile there, but I can promise you that car is not feeling happy.
No, not at all. Yeah, Hammett's definitely going to have a bad push. He's got a lot of separation between the front bumper and the fenders, both on the left and the right side, and obviously that splitter looks like it's raised up kind of at a weird angle there, so he may actually be rubbing the splitter going into the corner in the center and then have nothing anywhere near the ground on the inner and the outside. So going to be tighter there for sure. We saw Troutman was able to continue. He was rolling out on track, but he's the big loser now. I mean, he comes into this race 3rd place in points, and right now, looking back, he's back in 20th, so he's the last car that is on the lead lap. So not as bad as it could be, but yeah, late in the race, that's going to be hard to overcome.
Yeah, it's a kick in the shins for a car that people thought could maybe contend for a race win here. So now we reset things almost entirely. We're running out of time here in this race. We're only a matter of about 24 laps away from the fall of the checkered, and it's two interesting drivers of note, Todd Sargent and Josh Buckley, making up your front row as we're back to green flag racing once more here at Bristol. And once more, it's a fantastic restart there from Sargent. Anderson going to try and apply that pressure, lay it on as heavy as a tungsten blanket as they had their way down the backstretch. Still a little bit of overlap through turn number 3 and 4, but Sargent now feeling the pressure. That number 87 car, a bit of a rolling roadblock, stacking up this field behind. This is where we get into the danger zone. Anderson, though, cutting down onto the bottom through turn number 1 and 2, side by side through 3 and 4, trying to make something work, drifts up the track a little bit, caution flies once more, wasn't able to get that move done before the yellow flies. 87 is your leader, and the 9th caution comes out with it. Yeah,
we'll get a look and see what this caution about. We see Stefan up there. Oh yeah, so Stefan just getting into that outside wall, kind of riding it to stay out of everybody's way off the corner, but we talked about when you exit these corners, the car really pushes out, and these drivers literally pushed right out into the rear end of the 89 there on the straightaway, and that created the contact that we see with the Bucky's car going around.
Yes, I guess in an odd way you could say the Bucky's car kind of split the brisket a little bit. That you can tell I'm a New Englander in this exact moment. See, if it was a Wawa car, I'd probably be able to make a fully on-point reference, but alas, it is not. 20 laps now left here in this race. I gotta say, as these cautions go by, JR, I'm feeling more confident about Todd Sargent maybe being able to pull off the impossible. That car's been standing out to me throughout this race. I think Trading Pains may have done him a little bit dirty there from some angles. The Western Auto, the DW, old throwback. Again, Darrell Waltrip had some pretty good runs here at Bristol when he was still behind the wheel. So maybe it's a sign from the racing gods.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's a track to do it while running a paint scheme like that, this would be one to do it at. And these cautions are only going to help Sargent. This is what he needed because obviously he has a tire disadvantage, but the shorter the run, the more likely he's going to be able to hang on. And you could see Anderson, I fully believe if Anderson could have gotten side by side, he would have made that pass and been able to pull away. But it just wasn't happening yet. So 87 still got a lot of speed here. It looks like we're probably going to have somewhere around 17 laps to go, I think, somewhere around there when we go green. So it's possible, but Sargent's going to have to fight here. If we go green from here, he's going to have to work hard.
It's going to be a balancing act for that number 87 car to try and see it through to the very end. He's got a strong race car. He's got strong track position, but look at the racers around him. It's an interesting collection of drivers. The 51 of DJ Anderson, who talked about the audacious call that he made to come down pit lane, ran 2 tires. It worked out all right for him. He now finds himself in second. Buckley in the number 13 machine. He's one of those drivers who just recently made the 2-tire call. And of course, the 42, the reigning champ, Maxime Theriault, driver we have to mention as well. Back to Green Flag Racing. 18 laps now left to go here in Bristol. And Sargent once again getting off to a flyer. Anderson, though, all over the back of him as they head their way through into turn number 3 and 4 right now. Theriault able to clear in his charge. He's now jumped his way back up into third. Theriault may look for it very soon on Anderson unless Anderson can finally mount a charge against that number 87 car there of Sargent. The best news for Sargent would be a fight with Anderson and Theriault, because if that happens, he'll try and take that, grab a hold of that torch, and run off into the distance.
Yeah, that's the best thing that could happen for Sargent there, but Anderson's going to get a heck of a run. Almost got to the outside in turn 2 there. Anderson's looking to go. He is racing hard because he knows that if he does not get this pass made, Theriault's going to be there.
Oh, and you can see them side by side as they head their way through turn number 1 and 2. The 51 of Anderson was on the defensive drive in the previous stint of the race. Now, though, the shoes on the other foot, having to be on offense, trying to get the move done on a car that's defending heavily. He finally clears Sargent. Sargent now into P2. Now, side by side with himself and Theriault worrying about Blasco as well. This is a multi-pronged fight for the final 2 spots on the podium, but it's not just for the podium spots. I don't think these drivers care about second and third. They're worried about one thing, and that is the race win. Anderson still leading. The 87 of Sargent drifts up a little bit. Blasco now going to be on the charge. He's looking for it. Luke Logan, Allen, and Theriault now side by side for 4th and 5th. I think that 42 just peaked at the wrong time, was strong early, not strong here in the second half. Blasco clears. He's into second, 0.3 a second, the margin between himself and Anderson. It's going to be a bit of a charge for that 95 to get the job done, but he still has about 11 laps to do it.
Yeah, definitely got a lot of speed because he was able to close up fast, and he's continuing to close as we get these these closing laps, almost 10 to go here. I see James Skelton there. That's the driver I talked about earlier. He had some issues in that opening caution flag. Here he is making the pass for 4th.
Yeah, so the fighting is still very much on for some of these drivers looking for a top 10 spot. However, the fight is yet to intensify for that race lead. However, it's getting closer. Just in the past few moments, Blasco's been able to cut that gap now down to 1/10.5. Look at it between these two. There you can see less than a car length between them as they head their way downtown through turn number 3 and 4 right now. This could be Anderson's race to win. This could be Blasco's race to win. And who knows, maybe you can talk about Theriault, a come from behind victory in a car that really hasn't been all that strong. Hasn't been the strongest car of the night for quite some time. But hey, doesn't matter how you're running in the malaise of the mid portion of this race. It's all about where you are when that checkered flag falls. He's running in third. Again, a fantastic view of this fight for the race lead as it starts to intensify. And once again, an iRacer's worst enemy here at Bristol has now reared its ugly head. The lap traffic is back and back with a vengeance.
Yeah, not at all what the leaders wanted to see in the closing laps because they want to be able to race it out. They got a little bit of free track until they get to that next car, but this is the moments where you've got to be anticipating before you get there exactly which lane you want to be in, exactly which lane you're going to take, and how you're going to handle the situation so you do not open the opportunity for the car behind.
Yeah, so this is a point where these drivers can't think, they just have to try and get the moves done on the lap car. Position yourself well to get the moves done for the spots out there on the track. Blasco needs to gain just one more spot, and the victory is his. Some fantastic drives for both men. Blasco up 5 spots from where he started. Anderson up 11. I think Anderson wants to hold on to that spot, but he barely able to hold on to the back of the car as they headed their way out of the turn. Blasco now running on the high side. About 2.5 laps left to go here at Bristol. He's trying to make it work side by side as they head their way through turn number 3 and 4. 2 to go here at Briscoe, and Blasco gonna jump up into that spot. That's how you make it work. Now Anderson gonna have to try and re-rack and get something working, but time is running out. The opportunities are running out here for the number 51, and now that Terrio's all on the back bumper, this may not be his win for the taking. Connor Blasco, though, leads the white flag out in the air. One more lap of racing action here at Bristol. Blasco talked about him being up 5 spots right as we got towards the end of this race, but he got that 6th. He's going to get the win. Blasco wins. Terrio ends up in P2 in a close finish with himself and Anderson, who completes your podium. But Connor Blasco going to see it through and grab the checkered flag. A come from behind victory, a fantastic one as well, and he joins a company of Zach Mitchell as the only other multi-time race winner so far this season.
Yeah, and I would say that's a little bit of a surprise based on his win at Talladega. He acted like that was a little unexpected. He absolutely took charge of this race. This was not a fluke. He went out there and made that pass late. Fantastic win here.
Yeah, and what a drive to get it done there in that number 95 machine. A couple of bumps, a couple of scrapes there. I think some of those scrapes came from him Jimmy Johnsoning it into the outside wall there as he was doing the donut, but that's neither here nor there. But either way, Connor Blasco, again, the victory, his 2nd win this season. That's going to help him out a whole lot in the points. It's going to help out many drivers. It was a big changing of the guard race here tonight. We were wondering what it may have in store at the last great Coliseum, and for Connor Blasco, he was the one to grab a hold of that sword by the end of the night. He's going to burn it down. We're going to have a chat with him here in a few moments time, along with the rest of your top finishers, and take a look at the race results. In the meantime, though, we're going to take a step aside here on the Virtual Grip Network. What a race it was here at Bristol. Connor Blasco scores a victory. We'll be back after this. And welcome back, folks, to the Virtual Grip Network's coverage of race number 7 of the Red Light Racing Checkered Flag Auto Supply Scrambler Series. The O'Reilly cars put on a show in just their second appearance here this season at Bristol. They put on a stunner of a race, and it was a stunner of a drive for your race winner, Connor Blasco, to grab the checkered flag for the second time here this season. He wins it over Maxime Theriault in P2. May not be the win that the Canadian would have potentially had in mind. However, with some misfortune befalling his main championship rivals, it will likely be the points lead leaving here and heading off as the next race at the Daytona Road Course. DJ Anderson ends up in P3. James Skelton comes across the stripe there in 4th. Josh Buckley is in P5. Jeffrey Souza is in 6th. Luke Logan Allen in P7. Logan Fielder is in 8th. Tony Strano is in 9th, with Todd Sargent completing your top 10. From there, Jeff Lemire ends up in 11th. Chris Worrell in P12. Alex Sullivan in 13th place. Lucky spot P13 for the Canadian in the number 20 car. Bruce Potter ends up in 14th. Chris Hammond rounds out the first half of your field. Could have been a race win. Instead, ends up in the midfield there in the number 6 car.
Yeah, and some of the drivers having a little bit of a rough night here on down. So 16th place will be Aiden Coleman. Mark Parkhurst comes home in 17th place. Ethan Troutman, extremely fast car here tonight, getting collected in a wreck late, comes home in 18th place, 1 lap down. Randy Saley comes home in 19th. Brian Torchia comes home in 20th place. 21st place will be Devin Visnow. Bradley Steffen comes home in 22nd. Sean Single getting collected in a wreck early. Still be able to battle back with 27 laps down. 23rd place for him tonight. Trent Potter also getting collected, comes home in 24th. Zach Mitchell not having a good points night, comes home in 25th. Bill Benedict will come home in 26th place. Ken Allen in 27th. Kyle Haddock in 28th place. Ryan Oldani comes home in 29th. Tim Combs in 30th. And David Odendahl will come home last on the grid tonight in 31st place.
And so there you see it, 31 drivers took to the track. Not a lot of them finished on the lead lap. It was a track that wore on some racers. However, there were others that absolutely soared. And one of them was our race winner, Connor Blasco, now joining us here in the broadcast booth. Connor, welcome in. Congratulations on the victory. Your second win this season, joining the very exclusive club that only Zach Mitchell is occupying, heading off into tonight as the only other race winner to win multiple times here this season. That looked like a pretty fun one here at Bristol. How was it from your perspective there behind the wheel?
You know, it was really fun tonight. I am completely shocked. I will be totally honest with you. I did not expect to win the race tonight. You know, I thought I was going to have maybe a solid top 10, fringe top 5 run based on, you know, all the practice I've been doing this week. But yeah, it was a blast. I really couldn't believe that, you know, I was able to hang it high, wide, and handsome on the outside and get DJ there with about 3 to go. I really could. I can't believe it, man. You know, this is cool. Second win of the year. This is awesome.
Yeah, and we noted this when you grabbed the victory. Your last win was in the trucks at Talladega, and then you get your second win in these O'Reilly cars at Bristol. Like that is just about as far apart that you can get 2 race wins here this season. I think is it fair to say that the only comparison between those 2 races is the fact that both cars had 4 wheels on them?
I think that's a good comparison. Each car had 4 wheels. As you said, not even close to being similar. I wanted a drafting track and a short track, so how does that make any sense? But no, the Xfinity cars are really fun to drive at Bristol. As I said, you know, I've been doing a fair bit of practice this week just to get myself ready. Bristol has normally been one of my worst tracks on the server, so I really wanted to, you know, be decent here and at least put in a top 5 run, especially looking at points. You know, points was a big thing for me coming into this week. I had a really bad showing at New Hampshire last week, so I needed to, you know, get some of that cushion I had back. So that was the goal. And we did it. You know, I still can't believe it, man.
Yeah, it's a fantastic result. Going to help you out a lot in the points. Going to have a bit more of a buffer to that cutoff line as we head our way off into the next race of the season. Speaking of, we're going to be turning left and right on the Daytona road course in the Cup cars in just 1 week's time. The next gen car never got the opportunity to run on that road course in real life, so that may be a bit of a venture off in the unknown. What are your thoughts heading there?
Oh, I think it's going to be a real challenge for sure. I did a couple laps of practice just to get my feet wet, and it's a handful, man. Especially coming out of 4, that chicane before the start finish, it is a handful. I can't get it right, but we'll go to work. We'll practice a little bit. Hopefully get the track down, get my braking points down, and hopefully have a decent run. You know, last time I said I was just looking for a good run. It's either ended up 17th with no confidence, or it's been a win. So hopefully it's the second option for next week.
And we will certainly see what the case is when you rock up there to the Daytona road course in just 1 week's time. But Connor, before we let you go and celebrate this win, we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs.
Yeah, I want to say shout out to the field tonight. You know, it wasn't the cleanest of races, but the racing up front, it was really good, really fun. Everyone raced each other clean. I had DJ in the Discord before I got pulled into here. He said he almost cleared himself, but he chose not to. So I respect people that, you know, race me clean, and I try to do the same to others. As far as more shout outs, you know, any friends, family watching, maybe, as I said during my last win, maybe someone's watching out there. Thank you to the fans, the viewers. You know, this is awesome. You guys supporting us every week. So appreciate you guys watching. And it was pretty cool to win in the Bet MGM car tonight. You know, again, like the first win. I try to keep Kyle Busch's legacy going on by running his schemes. So I was able to do it in his 2025 Fire truck win at Texas. So this week I was able to do it in the Bet MGM car. So again, appreciate him for, you know, getting me into the sport and able to at least do it on the sim. So yeah, fun race tonight. Look forward to seeing you guys next week, hopefully.
And we will certainly see you in 1 week's time when the series rocks up to Daytona. Connor, thank you for joining us, and we will see you on the road course in 1 week's time.
Thank you, guys. Hey, this is really awesome. I appreciate it.
Yep, thank you very much for joining us. That right there was Connor Blasco, our race winner here tonight. JR, I'll pass the mic off to you to have a chat with our P2 man, who may not be too happy about the second place run, but will probably be happy about leaving this race with a likely points lead.
Absolutely, driver the 42. Max, man, had a great run tonight. It may not have been the finish you wanted, but I want to take you back through this race. You know, there was a lot of restarts. There were times where you had a lot of speed, and there was times where other drivers were making passes. Can you talk to the viewers and tell them just how difficult this track is in general, and knowing when you need to go and when not to, when you need to save those tires? Because, you know, the runs, you just didn't know what kind of run you were going to get tonight.
That's definitely the truth. The first half we went clean, and I kind of took it easy, but the second half the car felt different, probably because the track rubbered up a lot more than I expected, and it's trying to balance between not going too hard on the restarts and burn those tires for the next 10 laps, and then not getting past that you lose so much track position. So the last couple of restarts I kind of took it easy to still have some tires at the end worked out on the next to last lap, but very difficult to pass.
It absolutely was. We could tell that from up in the booth. But overall, I mean, even with those minor struggles you had, it is a big points night for you. The three drivers that were near you in points all had problems. You're going to walk away with the points lead here. How big of a shot in the arm is that? Like, we know the speed that you have. You've had some bad luck, I would say, in a couple of races, but this is getting things turned around.
Yeah, just like Talladega, you just hope to be close to the front at the end and keep the car clean, and a top 5. I'll take a top 5 anytime we race at Bristol or late races. So, of course, now points being more important than before, it's gonna be a good cushion for however many races we have left in the regular season.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like you guys have 3 races left. That'll take me to my last point here to get you out of here. Next week, it's the Daytona Road course, but it is the NASCAR Road. And like Ron had mentioned in the previous interview, these next-gen cars never raced on that circuit. What are your thoughts going there? You have any experience on that circuit?
I believe we ran there once, probably 6 years ago. And if I remember anything about it, it was if you keep the car on the track pointing the right direction, you're probably looking at a top 5 easily, because it's a tricky track with some tough bumps and chicanes that from high speeds to low speed corners. So yeah, it's again, just like tonight, keep the car clean and keep it on the road. It'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely. If you do that, I think we'll probably be talking to you again next week. So, man, who do you want to give a shout out for tonight's run? You had a great run here.
Yeah, thanks to you guys at VGN. Great broadcasts every week. And as always, my fiance, also my friend Max, and my parents watching the races. To Checkered Flag Auto Supply, Bob Higgins supporting the league. It's a big part of our success, and also Josh, James, and Ethan running this league every week. So, yeah, we'll see you next week.
All right, man. I appreciate those nice shout-outs there. That was Max, driver of the 42 car, comes home second place tonight. Ron, who you got up in the booth now?
Well, I've got our P3 runner, DJ Anderson, getting the podium when it was all done here tonight. DJ, welcome in. That looked like a pretty wild race from your perspective out there, leading towards the end. Had your strategy call taking 2 tires. How was it out there at Bristol?
Honestly, usually it's chaotic here. The truth is, I literally put my VR headset on for the first time and was just going to run and have a clean race and try to stay out of trouble. So I wasn't really planning on racing for the win. I just wanted a top 10 just to kind of get out of here with the points. And literally after those first couple of accidents, making it through there, stopping, taking the 2 tires, and actually having some speed and running up front, leading laps, I was like, okay, maybe I need to try. And there at the end, I had to take 4 tires, and I forgot just last night the same issue happened. I didn't add fuel to the car because of the auto fuel, and when that happens, it gets a little tight, at least for me. And those last 10 laps, it was just getting tighter and tighter, and I knew as soon as I got clear, I was hoping Connor and Max and them would have trouble clearing them, but as soon as Connor got clear, I was like, crap, I'm screwed. It's already tight, and I just was basically trying to make it as wide as possible without taking us out. And as soon as he got them outside, I didn't want to push the issue. I needed to have a good finish, so I just kind of gave it to him. And then that last lap when Max got to the outside, I was like, well, I just got to give it to him too, because this thing is just plowing. And I got 0 turns, so honestly, I'm happy. Led some laps, solid, top 3 finish here. Good points day, especially going into the chaos for the road course next week. So honestly, it's a happy. It feels like a win to me, honestly. Even though the racing part of me feels like I gave it away there, but I'll take it.
See, you mentioned at the start of that answer the fact that you put your VR headset on. Was this your first time using VR here tonight? That was?
The last time I probably did one VR race was probably like 5+ years ago.
Oh.
Didn't really like it, and then tonight I was like, you know what, I might give it a try just to see what happens. We'll probably run under caution most of the time, and I just want to have a nice solid day. Just going to kind of ride around and do whatever, just try to stay out of trouble. And like I said, there after the first couple cautions, I found myself up front and racing for the lead and then leading, and I was like, okay, well, so much for the whole riding around strategy and taking it easy tonight.
I'll tell you what, for your first test in a while, that is, for VR, that is definitely a trial by firing squad here tonight. I remember the first time I ever put a VR headset on was in a crowded Verizon store here in the city of Philadelphia in about 2017. They had no seat for you to sit down in, so we were standing up looking at this display of like a roller coaster ride, and I fell directly on my hind end in the middle of the crowded store. If that happened nowadays, I probably would have required medical attention because I think my back would have shattered. And I also probably would have switched to a pager out of sheer embarrassment shortly thereafter. So interesting to hear that you're able to get a good run going here tonight with your first time on VR in quite some time. Do want to ask you about Daytona in 1 week's time, running on the road course. That's going to be a little bit interesting there at the next gen car. What are your thoughts heading there?
I probably would have preferred to just running the actual Daytona oval because I'm pretty good at restrictor plate racing, as I almost won at Talladega, which kind of made me a little mad not getting the win there. But I think, like I said, that's just going to be survival for me. I'm not very good on road courses. So that's why I came into tonight with, I just want to have a top 10 finish, not get taken out and have a bad points day, especially with the way the new playoff system is going to work. I need to make sure I get enough points. So next week, I think my goal is probably, with everyone we have here, maybe top 15, and I think I'll be happy. Anything better than that, I think, is going to feel like a win to me, honestly.
Yeah, I'll certainly look forward to seeing you out there on the racetrack there at the Daytona Road Course in 1 week's time. But DJ, before we let you go and celebrate this podium, we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs.
It's you guys for doing this. I love going back and watching the broadcast, especially if I have a good race. I know last week was not too bad, considering I got caught in that first lap crash, but somehow managed to come back and finish fourth. And then tonight, a couple accidents. I love racing with these guys here at Red Light. There's a lot of new guys out there, so still getting used to those guys. But just getting back in here, appreciate everything they do. And my teammate Sean, even though he's not here, he really helps me out. And we do a lot of work together. And hopefully next season he'll be back full time, so we can really kind of go after it. But this season, it's really just about me getting into the playoffs and having a decent run. So honestly, I think I'd rather just get one win versus a championship this year, just to kind of be back on top again. But I'll take third, and I appreciate everything you guys do, and everything that the league does to put this together.
And thank you very much for joining us here in the broadcast booth, DJ. We hope that the search for a victory and search for a chase spot does go well here over the next few weeks in the regular season, and we certainly hope to see you out there on the racetrack in 1 week's time when the series rocks up to Daytona.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you very much. That right there was DJ Anderson, P3 finisher here tonight. JR, when we were heading into this race at Bristol, I wasn't really sure exactly what we were going to get. Whether we were going to get sort of bare-knuckle fist fight in motorsports form, or whether we were going to get a truly exciting race. In an odd way, I think we could say that at certain points in time we had both going on simultaneously. That was quite the enjoyable race. Final thoughts before we wrap things up.
Yeah, definitely had some aggression that showed through tonight, kind of like we expected. But at the end of the night, had a fantastic race for the win. And we continue, in my opinion, to get some surprise winners moving forward, because it's been so many races this season. This was only race number 7. But we've had so many races where the person at the beginning of the race we think has the car and is going to win ends up not, and a surprise winner comes from 5th, 6th, 7th, further back and wins. So it's continuing to be a surprise season, but at the end of the day, we're starting to see some familiar names come up to the top. Maxime, that 42 car, continuing to move forward, probably going to be the points leader moving out of here. In my opinion, that's the car that everybody's going to have to start chasing and watching what he does, because he knows how to win this championship.
Yeah, so Terrio going to look to try and start his championship charge when we return to the Cup cars at the Daytona Road Course. Hey, already grabbed to win the Cup cars at Dover earlier on this season. Could be a sign of things to come. But of course, speaking of things to come here on the Virtual Grip Network, we have got you covered over on the other side. Right now, in fact, we have got the latest race of the ISRA Sim Gaming Expo Retro Series. They're running at the Milwaukee Mile in those Lotus 79 F1 cars. The BRL Bush Talk Radio Super Late Model Series will be back here on the channel at Lanier this upcoming Friday, along with some more action there with Lanier for the late model invitational series at Saturday. The Gen 4 Yesteryear Cup Series will be back here on the channel at Watkins Glen on Sunday, August the 9th, along with the return of this championship on the Daytona Road Course on Monday, August the 10th at 8 p.m. Never miss out on any of the racing action here on VGN by hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on the action and get notified every single time that we go live. But as for this broadcast here tonight for race number 7 of this season, that will just about do it. So for myself, Ron Mullins, J.R. Shepard joining me in the commentary booth, and Ryan Seneca working all the cameras and the graphics and the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much for tuning into the action here on VGN tonight, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.